I would like to call the January 18th, 2023 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order at 7 p.m. In attendance are myself, Chairman David Gerstenhaber, Vice Chair Donna D, Supervisors Johnson, Torres, and Dowling. Also in attendance are Operations Manager Jeff Eastburn, and we don't have Melissa here yet. And there is one member of the public in attendance. I'm sorry. Also here is Township Solicitor Guy Donatelli. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so now I'd like to open up the meeting to public comment. Public comment may include any comments relating to tonight's agenda items. Commenters must state your name and whether you are a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer in the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Do we have any public comments? All right, not hearing any public comment. I'd like to add a quick item before we go to approval of minutes. We need to appoint an interim secretary. We recently changed our secretary position and we currently have an open spot there. So we need to approve a new secretary for the township. So I will make a motion that the board appoint Jeff Eastburn as interim secretary. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Donna. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Jeff. You have another job.
Poor Jeff. All right. So let me move on to the minutes. So we have in front of us the January 3rd, 2023 organizational minutes. And I make a motion that the board approve these minutes, the January 3rd, 2023 minutes. Board of Supervisor meeting. Could I have a second for that?
I can second.
Thanks. Thanks, Dawn. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so motion's carried 5-0. What do you need? Do I still get pen?
Right.
I'm good. I'm up, right? Yeah. I just want to double check here. It says November, not December. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have two.
So we're correcting the November and
Okay, I'm doing November and Jim's going to do December. Okay. This is a comprehensive monthly report of the Franklin Township's financials for the month ending November 2022 and year to date. The November 22nd report includes the following disbursements: the general fund with disbursements and transfers of $102,036.78. The Park and Recreation Fund with disbursements of $6,236.55. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of
that's
$587.19.
okay, $5,087.19.
There's a typo there.
I'll double check that after I'm done. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $222,599.28. The Emergency Services Fund with disbursements of $70,976.15. The Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $1,161.60, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $1,891,811.56. I make a motion that the board approve the November 22nd, 2022 Treasury's report as presented by Melissa Ortega. Second. Who wants it?
So the only discussion I have is just to double check that typo here.
Yeah.
In the disbursements.
$5,857.19.
Okay, it's not 5,087, it's 5,800,
857. Yeah.
85719. Okay.
5,857.19 disbursement out of open space. Jim, you seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Okay, ayes have it 5-0.
All right, for the treasurer's report for December, this is a comprehensive monthly report of the township financials for the month of December 2022 and the year-to-date. The December 2022 treasury report includes the following disbursements: a general fund with disbursements and transfers of $126,819.14. The Parks and Recs Fund with disbursements of $3,415.14. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of $25,857.19. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $4,783.20. The Emergency Services Fund with disbursements of $0, and Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $0, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $1,850,708.15. I have one question on the rebill. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, and also the total, it doesn't match what's in the book, right?
That's the total for the year. So look at the last.
Are you looking at the right month?
Last column.
There's one that's.
Okay.
Okay, Mom.
I checked the total. The only thing missing from the disbursements for the month is there's a rebill in there for $2,586. Should that be listed in the motion? Okay. Okay. Everybody okay? I'll make a motion that the board approve the December 2022 treasurer's report as presented by Melissa Ortega.
Second.
Second by Stefan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joel.
You okay to go? Zoning officers report. This report is prepared by the zoning and code enforcement officer. It includes the number of permits processed, the number of inspections performed, and the funds received in the month of December 2022. In the month of December 2022, 4 permits were issued, $660 in building fees, $700 in miscellaneous fees, and $0 in recreation and open space, and $0 in impact fees were collected. 11 inspections were performed.
Thank you, Don.
Don, can I ask a question on that? I guess maybe for Jeff. It says here that a violation for Oak Tree Drive was because of chickens. My question would be, in the future or in the present, have we transitioned so that the new firm will take care of that type of stuff? And
Yes.
so they know that they need to do this.
Yeah, they know they need to do this and we've supplied them the information.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So, yep. You're welcome.
Okay, Jim. Oh, getting to the report. Okay.
Okay. For Franklin Sportsman Association update, memberships remains full. There is a couple more weeks left of archery and shotgun hunting until January 28th. Currently, all parcels remain marked. Trailhead signs are updated, maps and hunting dates are posted. They have harvested 8 deer in Franklin as of the 10th of December. I think there are a couple more after that too. We'll get to that. Next month will be the final update for the harvest, but not the final update for the FSA. And then we cut down that fallen tree on Franklin Road. A couple guys cut that out of the road, and the FSA is planning on pulling all the grills off of the Crossing Park and clean them up
Oh, great.
It's excellent.
Oh, it's done, all right.
Are you taking them off? And
Yeah.
I'm looking off?
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
And one thing I wanted to give the guys credit for, it may have been mentioned previously, but it's worth mentioning again. I think there were 3 gentlemen from the FSA that worked on repairing the picnic tables down in the lower pavilion. They did a fantastic job.
Mhm.
Okay, great, yeah. So total hours marked so far this year is 94 and a half for the FSA.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And that's the end of the update unless anybody has any questions. 94 and a half.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Fantastic.
So, I don't know how you want to handle this. Is the PRO report, but there was no meeting held. So do we just?
Yeah, I talked to Paul Religion, he did what I did, but I don't know, a lot of neat pictures on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
I am gonna transfer them to the website. But, it's also looking very.
Yeah, so just for those that who are listening, we did the major event for the pro was finishing the Banachire Bridge, so access to that parcel is now much easier. You don't have to go down into the stream bed. So it's a very nice looking bridge, brand new. Finished it this weekend, and we have photos up on Facebook, and they'll be going up on the website. So look forward to that. And I guess if Paul or someone from the pro joins, we can always double back and see if they have anything to add. All right.
I'm up.
Yep.
I'm just going to introduce John Gontars for an update on the planning commission report, please. Johnny there?
Well, that was quick. Wasn't expecting it that quick. The planning commission met on January 5th, and we voted the incumbents in again as chairman, vice chairman, as secretary. There were really no contestants for those positions. So that happened without event. We spent most of the time talking about pedestrian access as it relates to public safety on our roadways, going from point to point, going from their home to their mailbox. We talked about walkways through the township, and we decided the best way to move this forward was to form an ad hoc committee where we'd work through some of the issues and then present those to the PC for creation of ordinances. So we spent a lot of time going over a lot of the details, and they'll be in the minutes that I'll be putting out in the next few days. But basically that was the gist of the total meeting. Are there any specific questions about the discussions?
Yeah, so I have a question, John. I just want to clarify. So, you'll have the ad hoc committee, they'll go away and they'll come back with some proposals to the PC. But if
Yes.
a decision is made for an ordinance, I would expect it to go to the board first, right?
It
Before you
would.
actually start working on it. Okay.
No,
great.
it would. We'll go through the regular procedures. We're just trying to flesh out some of the details before we bring it to the PC meeting, because we do have other agenda items going on as well. And there's a lot of discussion that has to go on, and probably some visits to some of the situations that exist in the township. So it's not something that probably fits in a PC meeting, but as an aside to it. Okay.
John, how many members of the, or how many members are on this ad hoc group here?
Jeff, I think there's like 7, possibly. I don't have the list in front of me, but I think there's at least one member from the board. I'm not sure who that is, and probably about 5 members from the planning commission. I'm one of them, Chuck Phillips. Do you have the list there, Chuck, Jeff?
Not in front of me, but it was Chuck Phillips, it was you, sir, and Dave Hoffman.
I think Dr. Harris too was involved as well, I think. So, yeah, there was
Yeah. Dave Gerstenhaber, if he
Mhm.
wishes to join,
And
and then Donna D.
are you
If she's
interested
okay
in,
with that.
participating? Because I can not participate and have Stefan be a part of it. That'd be fine.
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
Yeah. You have plenty to do.
I got plenty to do, so I'm good.
We'll put you on something else.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something for me to do. That's right. I say that again. Slower.
But subsequent to that, we focused on a number of situations, but we felt that we would work with those details at the ad hoc committee and present those at a later point. And that was about it. We adjourned and go forward.
All right, thank you.
So next is the Harbin Historical Commission report. I don't know if Paul Legacy's on.
He is not, sir. He submitted his report in writing.
Okay,
So I'd have to rely on Mr. Donatelli if we can just accept it as written or if someone actually needs to read it out loud.
It could be accepted, it could be accepted as submitted by Mr. McGough.
Okay.
So do we vote on that or?
So we're just
Just
saying-
We just say as
Yeah, just
accepted.
accept it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty brief.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is if you have any questions, please email Paul and me.
Okay, so the next item is the 2023 park and office mowing update. So Jeff, do I just turn this over to you because you have a whole proposal in our books? Is that, you want to take it?
If that, excuse me. If that's what you would like, sure.
Yeah, I think just summarize for the board your thinking, and then we can give you support or ask questions.
No, that's fine. The 2023 draft bid package is in your Board of Supervisors books. I have made some suggested changes. One would be to eliminate the performance bond requirement. From what I'm told from others, this could save 7 to 9% of the overall cost. And since we're not dealing with a life or death situation like snow plowing or road work where hundreds or thousands of people drive on it a day, if something happens, I can make it work intermittently. And then if we need to, we can bid it out again, with the contractor. But I'm hoping for success in whoever wants to bid on it this year. Last year, the mulching, edging, and weed elimination was done on a bi-weekly basis and done under a lump sum. So what I wanted to try and do to get a handle on things was to do the mulching and edging on an hourly rate basis. Could work with the contractor. I could work with one of my trusted advisors. We can figure it out and then get it done that way. We do have certain gardens last year that the pro committee worked on with volunteers. People are reaching out to the volunteers now to see if they're going to be willing to do that. One was a healing garden up front by the tennis courts, the raised wooden beds, which are 4 of them, and then 2 gardens in the back. Last year, we did maintain some of the gardens, which I've included in this list. Same as last year. I haven't changed it. So now we have mulching and edging at an hourly rate, and then we have weeding as a group for the gardens we're responsible for. And then what I would like to do as well is do an hourly rate for weed elimination in case the unforeseen circumstance comes up that volunteers disappear. So we have something. Of course, the idea would always be to default to the volunteers if we can.
So, okay. So the plan is to maintain the current gardens via volunteer work, right?
Yes.
So we might supply the mulch and
Yes.
they will volunteer. Okay. One thing that we are doing was eliminating one of those gardens.
I was going to talk about that next. If that's okay.
No, it's perfectly.
I just wanted to comment. So I did talk to Jeff about this, and it's definitely good to get your opinion. But I think right in the spring, at least I know this is what I do with my own garden, that I will look at it and say, does it need to be edged? Does it need to be mulched?
Yep.
And that's really good time to check right in the beginning of the season. And I told Jeff I'm happy to volunteer. Stefan, I know if you want to do it too, just to go around and say, okay, this one needs something, this one doesn't. And then we can go from there. But I think if we get a good start on it,
Yes.
then like you said, you don't need to do it every week. You don't even need to do it every month. It's if you get it right in the beginning, you're gonna be in good shape.
Agree.
And I totally agree with you, John. If we can get the new stuff,
Right.
because they're like the babies,
That's
right?
right.
Those are where you want to get the volunteers because they know what they're doing and they gotta be really careful. Great, thanks, Jim.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
also on the weed whacking hourly, if you want to do it like that, are you going to be the one that you determine when it gets done?
The weed eater work?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I've
How's that?
always had that. If it needs to be done, most times it does. They do it with the mowing.
Okay,
That's included in that price. And just keep in mind too, that's an estimated number of events we're expecting, which I think is 24. So if it ends up being 15 or 50, it's at the same unit price. You look like you have a question.
No, yeah, I'll let you finish.
Okay. One of the things that I had suggested changing out at the park under the 2023 maps, I'd always affectionately called it the Greg Sachs Meadow. Extending that out a little further and actually putting that in the bid package to be cut twice a year on or about the week of July 4th, and then again after the first frost.
Which one is that, Gordon?
It's up front, sir. See where it says Brown Meadow?
Yes.
out here.
Okay, thank you.
So that was my suggestion. And then keep in mind, the blue is once every 2 weeks. The yellow is once every 7 days. So I like to keep a perimeter around the park. That's why you see the blue in areas. So it's really nothing for them to go down the perimeter along the front and just do a trail. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but just trying to represent a trail.
And I commented on that too, where I didn't want, and I know meadows, if they do them right, it takes a while, but they look beautiful. But sometimes it looks like you just forgot to mow the lawn. And so I appreciate the fact that you're talking about having a little bit of a line there so that the initial presence against the road is a little bit more cut.
Presented.
Yeah, and then the rest. Are you all right with that, Stefan?
I was just wondering, like, what is the purpose to try to save money so someone's not cutting it as much? And then
No, it's for pollinators. And we would like to put signs up that people, we're feeding the bees or we're doing
Okay.
this or we're doing that. And the FSA went and cut almost a serpentine cut through there.
Yeah.
So people can walk through instead of having to walk in the meadow, there were paths through there.
The side benefit is we save some money.
Yeah, I was listening.
It's not the full reason.
No, that's right. We do save, but we do save some money and it's not insignificant amount of money.
And you can save money.
And I was also thinking about tennis, people, you're playing tennis and you got all the balls up there.
Well, there's a pretty good, there's a pretty
Buffer.
good cut between the tennis courts and the meadow, yeah.
So the meadow that's there now is already behind the tennis courts.
Independent.
My computer's just freaking out. So then I don't think people have been using the tennis courts. I think what we're trying to do is there's a whole lot. We try to identify parts of the park where people aren't using it and we're mowing it. Right.
Right.
And if we have and rather than just let it grow, we have these little meadows.
And there's a lot of bird houses up along there to delineate that too, so it's looking more like it's on purpose.
Yeah.
It's hard to see on the drawing, but there's a yellow 7-day cut around tennis court.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
there's a big,
And I would guess that if Stefan, you went up there or someone went up there and said, look, this looks terrible. that we could come, either you make that decision, if you're not sure, come back to the board, but it's,
Yeah.
so we're not signing anything in blood. I think we're just saying
It's-
we want to try
I mean,
this.
it's grass,
It's great.
you know, so what, it literally, it takes, it'll take an hour to fix it if we don't like it.
Yep.
You know,
Now, if you could,
maybe
if,
2 hours.
if you could please look at the one for the office mowing from 2022 to 2023, you can see there's quite a difference there. Before that was once every 7 days. And after working with someone, we had come up with this design with the blue. Again, it's not set in stone. To have that once every 2 weeks if needed and maintain that at approximately 5 inches. So it would be somewhat like a meadow, but never over 5 inches. But what you see in blue there, we've never fertilized it ever. But that grass has an incredible growth rate to it. It's unbelievable. So again, this is a trial. The person that suggested this to me thought that it may be a money saver, may, not guaranteeing it, because we're going to do it every 2 weeks. But there are times when they did it once every 7 days, maintained it at 3 inches, and it had that severe balling of excess balling effect to it. So that's an idea. We can certainly, it's easy peasy to put it back the original if that's what the board wants tonight. It'd take me 5 seconds.
Give it a try. I mean, I don't think it hurts to give it a try, right?
No.
If it doesn't work, you'll see it every day. I mean, every time, yeah.
No, absolutely.
But I agree. The thing that you just said at the end, though, threw me off a little bit. If we cut it every 7 days and it had excess balling, if we cut it every 14 days, is it going to be worse?
We're cutting it at a higher.
I know it's higher, but still,
We're cutting it-
still 2 weeks growth versus one.
Yeah, good point.
We're cutting it higher. There still will be a balling effect, but again, from what I'm told, it shouldn't be as bad.
Okay. Well, let's try it and find out.
But I just don't want to kid you guys. That area in blue grows incredibly fast. And can I answer any questions you have, Mr. Torres?
One question regards to mowing.
Yes, sir.
One question regards to mowing bids. The standard way, which I think is okay, but it's a little bit, in my opinion, dated, is you put something out on the website. You maybe put something in the paper, which I don't know who still reads papers. My question would be, rather than just sitting back and waiting for responses, and I believe last year we got 2.
That would be correct, sir.
Okay. How hard, and I'd be more than happy to help, would it be to be more proactive and call some of the big landscape companies and just say, we have this, this, and this, would you like to bid on it?
That's easy. If
Okay.
you guys have names and numbers or emails, I'm going to put that bid on the website. I can give you the link. So all they have to do is click on it.
Okay, yeah, if you could do that, because I don't have a problem reaching out and being a little bit more, maybe we can get 5 or 6 bids and
Mhm.
we'll find a better.
No, I appreciate the help very much. Thank you. So if the board is okay with it, I would like to put the advertisement in the paper next week for this bid package. Just the sense of the board.
I don't see why not. I mean, I don't think it requires a,
Did not. That was a little bit of a head nod.
yes, we all agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I think your approach is good, well thought out.
Oh, one thing I did want to add, nothing for this, but I did attend a meeting at Jim Johnson may remember this at London Britton Township. They are going to be converting certain sections of Nickel Park to meadows. So there was someone there from Denrec and then a company called Weeds Incorporated. It's interesting because they install meadows. So they are encouraging London Britain to put in for some grants, and it's a fully funded grant.
Wow.
It's not, we don't have to match it. Where they would be able to put in some meadows at Nickel Park. So I am supposed to meet with a young lady. I'm assuming it's still going to happen, January 25th. I'm going to meet her here, and then we're going to go out at the park and then see if it's something that's doable, even if it's for up front or here or somewhere. And then, most certainly before anything is done or grants are applied for, we come back before the board to discuss it. I just thought it was an interesting opportunity, possibly. And one more, I'm sorry.
The last thing was the garden, right?
The garden. If everyone could please look at garden number 1 on your map, and then you will see several pictures in the back. That's the office, the one for the park. It's probably the upper left, Stefan.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I do have some pictures in your book. For years now, if you look at these pictures, you will notice we get a lot of washout from the park lane in the back leading to the I apologize, leading to the rear parking lot in the right meadow. So you can see the mud, and then you can also see the I would say it'd be pretty safe to say those bushes are probably original to the park when it was built 20 odd years ago. I had a suggestion, if the board would accept it, that I can work with Matt Thompson. I think we all know him. He's done the trails out at Franklin Preserve, about putting in a berm swale to help divert that water off into the woods and away from that garden and that bench. Now, one of the things that we had talked about was ripping out those old bushes, because it's just a horrible looking mess right now.
The ones around the bench.
Yes, sir. And then
If you go to page, whatever the
My-
page, yeah.
my advisor that I was talking with, I thought had a good idea. Flip this bench around. So instead of it facing the woods, it would face the pavilion. And then what we can do in this area then is plant grass seed, not have a garden. But what we thought would be nice with the memorial trees, that could be an option where a couple of memorial trees could be planted and have shade for people. Right now, these bushes are being used for people hiding and doing silly things.
Yeah, and I think the point here too is beyond just the mud. All the water washes down here, and so you can, I think on page 57 of the meeting book, all the water just washes down there and washes out whatever mulching
Yep.
or edging you do anyway. So rather than fight that, let's just get rid of the whole thing. Keep the bench, turn it around so people can sit there, but everything else, just get rid of it and put the grass there and just mow it.
And that's something I can work in with Mr. Durazio on his list of things to do at some point. It's not a rush, but just.
And Jeff, would the swale be just above where the first path goes in and around? So, where is it going to be, up near the parking lot? Or
Yeah,
down near the
so
path?
if you go back to the I can show it to you where, if you go back to the map, just go back to this map. So it would be there.
Yeah, so my point is it here? Or
It'd
is
be
it
right here.
Right there.
And
near
the
the-
water, yeah. I think
on
it's-
This side of the path.
Yeah, so we're, oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. This is the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be right here and then the water goes.
But there's still a lot of room between there and the path. So.
Yeah.
If
It's,
it ran down and we had to swale down here a little further, that. would-
yeah, I don't.
I mean, we.
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics are, but
Either here or there.
it'll be in there somewhere.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep,
But you're right. I don't know what the specifics or whatever. It's just.
Okay.
that's just a good
All right.
general location, something a couple of us have had on our bucket list to do, to get completed.
Okay.
Is the board okay with me moving forward with this big package?
Yes.
Okay,
All right. So the next step is the 2022 interim road program extension. And I guess I'll just read the motion. I make a motion that the Board of Supervisors approve Yardworks extension letter from their 2022 interim road program bid with the same unit prices and conditions until February 18th, 2023. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Donna. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Yeah, just a comment. So Jeff, I know you're putting processes in place to make this the last month, that we should be pretty good. Excellent, good.
All right. Okay, and then I guess my second note here is 2023 road program update. I think Ron was not able to join us this week,
correct. So I will give you a quick update. Not much, really, nothing's changed substantially since the last time Ron Reagan was in. We're still talking about milling and paving Old Schoolhouse Road. We're talking about doing the upper portion of Hess Mill Road to finish off what we had done a couple years ago to the New London Township line. And then also Ways Run. That road is failing in areas, and it will be a tremendous help stormwater management wise for us to do that. Now, Ron Reagan and I met with a contract. We've met with a couple contractors, actually. The one thing that we would like to do, since it's in the same development with Ways Run, is add Johnson Lane as an add alternate. Doesn't mean we have to take it. It's just economy of scale. Since we're doing Ways Run, we might be able to do Johnson much more reasonably than if we wait 2, 3, 4 years down the line.
Does it need to be done? Like,
It would, it's at the point it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. We can make a case to have it done, I feel.
Could you, I mean, one thing that'd be helpful with regards to making a decision would be what's the cost of mob and demob, or the fixed costs associated with doing Ways Run and then the incremental cost of Johnson Lane. In other words, like if it's to do them both might cost, Johnson Lane might cost, $15 a square foot or whatever the number is, or linear foot. But then waiting 3 years, it's $30 or $25. And to me, that I can conceptualize that a little bit better.
I think that's what the paper is saying, is that because Ways Run is a short, like quarter mile, not even 1/10 of a mile.
You mean Johnson?
Johnson Lane's a 1/10 of a mile, probably.
Right.
And then there's a half a mile away. So they're
Right.
saying you're going to have to do the 10th.
Right.
Do you do it? Do you want to do the whole stretch? Because if you look at the road, it's one long road. But to your point, we should probably understand what the price difference is, but I guess the most for me, my primary concern is we need to get this bid package out as early as possible. And where are we with that?
We are at the point where Ron said that we can put that advertisement in next week. Now, with the contractors we talked to, they strongly believe, with us doing it this soon, that the work will be done prior to school going back into session. It will be done earlier than it has been the past couple of years. We did meet with a contractor I don't know if you remember the pictures from last month, guys, of Old Schoolhouse Road near Virgil Brown's property. And then up the street from that, the Red Barn, and it's in, I have some photos.
Yeah, they're in there.
Yeah.
They're here.
I have some photos in your book.
The shed.
Mhm.
So I very much want to work with Jay Brown and Virgil and John Auerbach and Ron, because what we're talking about doing is raising that road slightly in both locations. We've had problems with severe storms where the bank has sloughed off. I mean, where we've taken down by Virgil's 2 to 3, if not more, dump truck loads of dirt that had just fallen.
Yeah.
So Ron's plan is that when we do that, a lot of these millings would stay in place. We're gonna mill it, put it in place, put 2A modified on. So I said, what do you feel the savings would be with that? So we're not hauling these millings off, or they aren't. He thought somewhere between 10 to 20,000 savings. So now you will see, I believe, I can never remember the numbers. The MS 944 forms, there are 2 of them. Now, the first one that he has put pricing on, engineer's estimate, is for the milling and paving. And I'll call it the road raising by the Red Barn and by Virgil's. That's in the one for the 493, 186.35.
And then how does is this outside of what we estimated? What did we estimate for this project?
It is more because after talking with the contractors, we feel we're doing it a better way. So we're including, before Dave, the road raising, I don't think was included in the bid package before.
So Jeff, I'm just confused, maybe the concept of this. So doesn't the people that bid on it provide the numbers? Like, we don't
Yeah.
provide them.
Correct. This is engineers' estimates for you
Just a reference.
and for us, a reference.
I gotcha.
It's nothing written in stone. It could be a lot less or it could be more.
So for the road program that we voted on, does that blow that budget out of the water? And that's why we want to look at this now?
I'm doing it because Ron thought it was an important point to distinguish with the board. I don't,
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're not,
Still in budget.
we're still in budget. Like, so you're present, as we go through this.
someone shaking their head no.
Okay, so so that's the important piece.
Right.
Is not really the line items, but how much over are we compared to where we were when what we approved?
Approximately $50,000. That's not bad.
Okay.
What percentage of that is that of the overall contract?
And
We had 450,000 for the overall, what we thought we would spend.
like 10%.
11.1.
it's within 10, well, it's a little over 10%. It's
Yep.
50,000 and this is, we were 450, right?
We haven't,
What I tried to ask Jeff today was the portion of the road that's being raised, because it looks like there's 2 separate bids with what he handed me today. The first part of that, does that have to be part of the road program?
yes,
Or, and why? I mean, as opposed to MS4 or just that you're making improvements within the township.
because it's integral in doing the paving work.
Is the
Yeah,
first
so-
one all the drainage stuff? that they're doing?
Uh,
Is that separate? Is that what they're?
That's separate.
No, I don't think it can be classified as anything with drainage. So why is that important to you? Because the money's the money. Well, because when I have to apply for the PennDOT approval report. Right. And then the completion report, all the numbers have to match up, so. This approval has to go. Because I don't want any findings.
So these are-
And no spending.
So these are estimates, right? So these are estimates and then
Right.
those estimates get adjusted as the work
This
happens.
is just preliminary.
So
However, you guys approved the budget. And this is outside the budget that you approved, so it'll be over as long as you guys are, I guess, you know, it comes out of capital, come out of.
it'll come out, and I guess my concern is it's, you know, a temp, if it, here's where we're at. We approved a road budget. Right now, we got an adjusted estimate that gets us about 10% over what we approved. Okay. Once we execute that road program, those estimates could also move again. Right. And it's not like we're going to stop a road program if those estimates get adjusted. So my personal view on this, and I'm going to leave it up to the board, is I think if we're within 10%, it doesn't seem like it's a huge amount of swing because we're still in that preliminary phase. I think if we started saying, okay, this project is not 10% over, it's actually 50. If this is a $450,000 road, not a $350,000 road program, that might be a little different, but.
My question would be, when we approved the budget, did we approve certain roads or did we approve a dollar amount?
The dollar amount.
So with
Based
this,
on the road estimates.
Right.
Based on roads.
and if this is 11% more, and I don't know if that includes the 17,000 that was on, so it's actually be more if that is part of it. Would that incremental $50,000 to $70,000 potentially push out a lower ranked
Yes.
road?
We've done it in the past, right? Like, I think we always try and do more than we can afford. And then we adjust down to pay for what we can't afford.
So if I forget what the dollar amount of the total road budget is for next year, but if this road is going to be $70,000 more, we are not going to go over that approved budget. We're going to push out something else. And then so that's a question. And the second question is, that's a heck of a lot of money for Hess Mill. Does it really, I mean, does it?
Old schoolhouse.
What am I saying? Old schoolhouse. Thank you. That's a lot of money for old schoolhouse. Does it really need it? I mean, I wasn't here 2 months ago.
So yeah, and that's a great
question.
question. So the reason that the concept we talked about was the bank is so steep, right? That it's an engineering problem.
Right.
And so our engineer came up with this raising the road to remove the need to carve out that bank. So, I mean, we can revisit, get a second. I guess the only thing I could do is get a second opinion, right? And say, hey, if we get a second opinion, does that, does the second engineer agree? Right? Because here's where I'm at. I don't know what the right option is because I'm not a road engineer. So we would probably need to get someone else to take.
That's the question. It is a lot of money.
No, I agree.
Accidents or something, or
Yeah. I've also seen where they put bigger stone and lay it into the bank, the bigger rocks and stack them up so it doesn't erode. I don't know if the road itself, the hump in the road was the issue, or the bank going up to that shed was the issue. I'm not.
I think, and again, Ron's not here this evening. I'm not the engineer, but I think his way of thinking was by raising the road, there's not that much of an angle or pitch on that bank. It could be taken back a little bit and it won't be as severe as versus building a wall.
Or
there and
carving out a significant amount of
Yes.
earth. So the issue is that it's just a tremendous amount of earth you'll have to move to get that bank back to where you need it to be.
I mean, I don't know how many of you drive that road on a regular basis, but that wall of dirt washes, every time it rains, it washes down into the road and.
The roadway's like a tunnel in there, because you have a steep bank on one side, that goes way up to the top of the hill with vertical shed. And you have a steeper bank on the other side that is high. So it's like a tunnel going through there.
Mhm.
So Ron's concept is, rather than try to move the banks, is to raise the roadbed up. And you have these two banks, so you raise the roadbed up, it widens the cartway. That's his objective, is to widen the cartway by raising the roadway locally. So I can't speak for Ron, that's what I got out of this conversation last night.
Yeah, and it sounded like to me, it sounds like a sound idea, but to your point, all of a sudden this road's getting very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so
But the other thing too, I mean, I guess we have to figure out, because we'll get the bids. If, you know, I would go I mean, I wouldn't just not do it because it's a little bit over what we said. This is important work that we need to have done. And we have the money in the capital fund. So it may not be the exact amount of money we've said that we would spend, but if we have to do, we could do another motion and get that additional money or whatever we have to do.
and I think as we progress through this process, we might be able to just reassess the roads we're going to work on, right?
Well, we only have 3 right now, so.
Yeah, it's not like we're doing that much.
Yeah, I know it's
Um,
expensive, but you're only doing this and it makes sense based, I'm sorry. It makes sense based on the previous conversation. If we do Ways Run, we do Johnson, that just makes sense. I just think we spend the money and get it done.
Okay.
Okay, if
So
you
are
want a
we-
second opinion, I'm fine with that too, but
So there's a couple issues. Do we, on this road, so what do we want to do? Are we suggesting that we get a second opinion?
well, I won't go against it, but I'm just afraid that we delay the bids. I think,
Yeah.
I trust Ron. I think he's thought about it a lot. John, you described the issue well. Either we raise the road up or we start moving dirt. And I think either way, it's going to be expensive.
I think that, yeah, you're right. And I think we're solving a problem here with that road, right? We're not sort of pushing it off to later.
Right.
And I think in this case, we can we can do something major, get it done, and then it's behind us.
If you ever, I guess I'm trying to picture, if you have a road that's like this.
Yeah.
Old schoolhouse, and you raise the road, and here you have
It's like
you know,
this.
a bank on the side that's covering it. So you raise it up to the bank. You still have, you still have the same endpoint, so you're gonna raise this road, and then you're gonna have a steeper decrease.
No, you have, so here, it's like this. You raise it up, you make the road wider.
You're making a hump though, is what Stefan's saying. You are making a hump, but
But you
It's
have,
already-
it'll be gradual.
it'll be gradual.
It's not gonna go up like this, but.
Yeah.
And it widens and you don't have that tunnel, or it's less, that tunnel feel.
But it'll be steeper later on after you get through that, because you're starting at a higher point from.
Are we getting pictures or what?
I would expect longitudinally, he's going to, blend that thing into the
Yes.
road.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna get a.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't go like this. It kind of, it'll be blended in. And so the goal was to widen the roadway and lessen the severity of the banks.
And lengthen the height,
Yeah,
so it stretches.
yes. So it's not
And
gonna
that's
be
why it's so
like,
expensive.
Yeah. Takes up. the
Yeah.
roadway.
yeah.
I wasn't being contentious, I just had questions.
No, these
No,
are, your questions are all.
please, that's why you're here. Okay, so I mean, so where we're at is where you're waiting for us to give you the okay to submit the bid package.
To advertise it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's me, I'd like to do that.
So,
I don't know if there's any strong opinions like otherwise, Don.
Oh, no,
Okay,
that's a bad spiritual.
so I don't think, again, is this just we all nod in unison? Or do we need a motion?
We
All
already
right.
had.
So I think, yeah, so I think we should just go ahead and get this published and done, because I think it's more important that we get this stuff done before October this year. So
The one thing is you see the two different MS9,
right.
$17,000 one. Ron figures that we can use the ARPA money for, and that will be bid separate.
okay,
That's fine.
And that would be on the Schoolhouse Road, if you're familiar with it, close to Chester. Close to Chester. We have a stream that's moved over 50, 60 years. So we're trying to do some things that are less than the pressure on the road with a French train in it. We also have to look, Ron, I noticed there's a concrete pipeline there, and then we've got a divot in the road. So we feel we have a separation of the concrete pipe that we have to.
all right, anything else we want to talk about on the road program update? All right, good. Look forward to seeing those bid packages.
It looks like I think I'm next. So this comprehensive plan resolution adoption. So, we did have the comprehensive plan brought before us. We did vote to approve it. But I think this is our attempt to actually do a formal.
This is our attempt to satisfy the county who believes it should be by resolution. And in my view, you have a comprehensive plan appropriately addressed, advertised, but the county has asked for a
Resolution.
resolution, and my recommendation is to make the county.
Just do it.
You get the, you get your,
Okay, so I'll go and just make the motion, but so it's kind of like we're formalizing something we've already agreed to. So I make the motion that the board approve resolution number 2023-04, which is the final step in the adoption process of our comprehensive plan that the Board of Supervisors approved on August 17th, 2022.
I would love to second that.
All right, Don, that's you. Okay, any discussion? All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Guy, put that in the done column.
it is in the done column.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, solicitors report, right?
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have, we
Okay.
don't have a list of what you're reporting on in our,
Thank you.
That's all I got.
yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so I get, so Guy, Guy, could you please give us the solicitor's report?
Sure, thank you. It's nice to see everyone. I have a number of things that I'd like to report on. Some are listed in your agenda and some I'd like to address that are off the agenda if it pleases the board. The first is the MS4 and PennDOT update, which we've gone over a number of times. I have a completed agreement with PennDOT and a completed resolution for the board to sign to allow us to enter into that agreement. I have a clean copy. I reached out for Daryl this week to see if I could engage in a conversation with him. He's my counterpart at PennDOT. He's always very responsive, but I have not heard from him. So what I'd like to do is send to him my final drafts. Tell him that it incorporates all of the comments that my client has. Send him the resolution as well so that he knows we're prepared to adopt that resolution and enter into that agreement. And so if I have your okay, I will do that straight away and we'll get that complete.
Okay, so I'm not there yet. So, couple of things. One is we have a new MS4 group that we're working with. I think it would be nice for them to know what's going on. I'm fine with you, sharing this information with the gentleman. This is just me. This is you have a whole board here, but I'm not saying yet that I'm ready to vote for it. So you can tell them we're interested, but I wouldn't guarantee board approval because we never really voted on it. We've talked about it. We've got questions answered, but I don't remember coming to a meeting where we nodded or said yes.
Your recollection is correct. And what I would like to do is, and I think your suggestion is a good one because we have a seam between our former engineers and our current engineers.
And I'd like to make sure that that's buttoned up. But I would like to engage in some conversation with PennDOT because this is one I'd like to check off because I think we've done 99.9% of the spade work and it's documented. So I'd sort of like to push that across the goal line.
So another thing that I like to have is how many points do we get if we do this? And what does that relieve us from doing? Like I know it's complicated and we have one area here and one area there. Does it fulfill our obligation for one particular area? Do we still have to come up with new ideas? That's why I'm not there yet because I don't know exactly what this solves for. I know it solves a piece of it or all of it. I don't know, but what are we solving for? I take it that you're comfortable that we're not putting ourselves in jeopardy, remember we talked about maintenance, that we've gotten all that figured out, that we're not going to be responsible for any maintenance or if anything blows up, because that's something I know you were very
Correct.
careful about. So that's a really good thing. I just need to know, okay, how much is it going to cost us? Because I don't know that number either. And then what does it save us? Or what does it?
How long does it last?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a 5-year thing, right? It was
But yeah, I think it's 5 years.
That's what I wanted to know, how long it lasted, because do we have to hire the MS4 guy if we've already made this commitment
I would never spill
To-
goodbye.
do this? But I'm saying, how long does this last versus us getting a new guy?
My understanding is that this would fulfill your obligation for longer than 5 years.
Oh, that's all good news. Okay.
But I will talk with, is it the gentleman from Arrow or is it the gentleman from Canal? So I'll reach out for our
Yeah.
folks and I'll have that conversation.
And I think we're, it's not the way I understand it, and maybe I need someone to correct me, is there's a certain amount of runoff that we have to account for, right? Tonnage, so a certain amount of tonnage we have to
There's a
account
number
for.
there, right.
And once we hit that number that we've accounted for, we're done. But this does it's like
For
6
5 years,
it's not for 5 years. It's just we have 5 years to do the next
Yeah, we need,
step.
it's an incremental.
So-
Right, so they do again. And then right.
So we owe whoever it is, we owe them 60,000 tons of sediment, right? We are paying off 10%. We're paying off 6,000 tons of sediment with these credits. And in another 5
Are
years,
you making that up or you know that's, there's
That's
no
about
numbers?
it's about right.
Right.
Okay.
And then in 5 years, we're going to owe another 6,000 tons or 10,000 tons, whatever the new one is. But we're paying off
Only
por-
10%.
10% of our 60. And then we're going to again chip another 10% off or whatever the minimum amount is in another 5 years. So when you say it's only good for 5 years, it means we've paid off our credit. We've paid off what we owe right now. And the next payment is going to be due in 5 years.
Okay, that's what I noticed. So if this 10% is what I need to achieve in the first 5 years.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're saying you don't have to do it all now. This is the minimum you got to do right now. And that's what we're doing. That's what this credit is for. And so,
We're paying for that.
and what,
For a guy. If.
because so PennDOT,
Yeah.
so PennDOT is the way it's rationalized. I'm not saying it's the
Makes
right way to do things, but there's a project going on somewhere else in Pennsylvania where they're eliminating a whole lot of sediment
Right, I understood that.
In this one, our watershed.
in our watershed.
Right.
Within our watershed, they're eliminating a large amount, a large volume of this sediment.
I get that.
And so what they're saying is, okay, Franklin Township, do you want some of this sediment credit because we're doing more than we need to?
Right.
You can use some of that sediment credit for you.
Right.
And if you want that credit, it's going to cost you $15,000.
Whatever the number, is it 15,000?
$15,000 is what we're.
I must have been asleep. Okay, that's not
No,
bad.
Yeah,
no.
so it's 15 grand.
Chairman has the facts and figures at his fingertips, but it's always been discussed. The specifics have always been discussed generally. What we were more concerned about, at least from a legal perspective, was not so much the money side of it, because that's a term.
Yeah.
My concern was, once that was paid for the credit you received, could you be roped back into a situation where there might be some other problem, and then you come up with additional money?
Right.
And so the language that PennDOT accepted from us was language that said, no, you won't be, which satisfied my concern there. But I appreciate you wanting to know the specifics, so we will.
You had to change that language, remember? Yeah, like I thought you changed that.
I did. As a matter of fact, I brought the contribution agreement with me. Not only did I change the language that we discussed back in November, but I also added some additional language that relieved you of any potential liability in the event there was a problem, not just the cost of additional maintenance. So I tried to really button PennDOT up, but they've been very good about it. They don't mind. I think their intentions are good. So, but I will do as you suggested, and I will take this conversation and I'll take it back to Arrow and give you another report in February.
I think we should be ready at that point to at least have our questions answered and then make a motion to approve this because
So if
we've
this-
been, no, go ahead.
If this carries us for 5 years, technically, what are we paying this guy?
We're not paying him. So this guy is PennDOT.
No, the Irish, not the average.
That's you guys.
She's already was four guy.
Advice, right? We're paying him for engineering advice.
Yeah. So when we need him,
Ongoing.
It's only
Ongoing.
we pay him ad hoc. Like we pay him when we ask him a question.
as needed.
Yeah.
We're not doubling up.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, no. So the MS4 is when in 5 years,
Right.
we're gonna need him because we're gonna say we need projects to figure it out and how are we gonna do this watershed?
Plus, we have another area. We're not done yet. There's 2 areas. So we took care of one, this, based on what I'm hearing, this could possibly, for $15,000, take care of one area. And that's a big win, if
Mhm.
that's the truth.
Yeah.
But there's still another one there that we have to deal with.
But one of the things is, to borrow a phrase from one of our residents, this is one of the biggest unfunded mandates there is, it's MS4. And we need him as a liaison for the permit process and what we have in now. So
Like as we.
as we need him, as Guy needs him, we'll use him.
Plus, you gotta submit this stuff. So,
Yeah.
so it all has to go to Penn, where the EPA or whoever gets it, right? And they gotta approve it. So somebody has to put, it's your government at work, right? They gotta put all this paperwork together. You gotta ship it off to somebody.
So as we're building.
Yeah, they're gonna review it.
So the concept there, and that it's good to raise it. The concept is that we become this township, as well as many others, becomes part of a larger PennDOT funded project. And then there is a modification, a change order, if you will, to that project that includes us and our project in some respect. And all of that sort of documentation occurs from what I can see, in Commonwealth generated form documentation. The only home cooking, if I could use that expression, that we have is our insistence, or at least our suggestion in the contribution agreement, that we can at least peg our obligation for this component of the MS4 cost. And that's what I've focused on, and the engineers' views are critical. It's more of an engineering project, I think, than anything, but it does require 6 or 8 pages of paper.
But you protect us from any additional.
Yes, ma'am.
costs. That's the job that you did.
Could you update me on with regards to the second, one of you mentioned that there's 2 MS4 projects and this takes care of us on one of them for 5 years. So we still will need this other gentleman for that other part, correct?
I don't remember what it's called, but there's another one out there.
That we,
another one out there, but yes.
and that we don't have the luxury of having another area of Pennsylvania overdo it for us. Okay.
We don't know. We don't know yet.
But we need something.
We can,
Right.
but it's, I don't
want the board to have the impression that our engineer is gonna be out there with a PennDOT engineer and 3 other engineers, so we're not doing triple, quadruple work. That's not what we're doing.
So people remember, we put in a permit, right, for both areas. So we did put something in, and we made some suggestions, or we made certain commitments that said we would do X, Y, and Z. They came back, and I don't know how long it's been several months, saying, no, we do not agree. So they're waiting for, I'm assuming, are waiting for a response from us saying, okay, this is our new proposal.
They've woken up in the past week.
Oh, good.
DEP. I'm sorry, DEP has woken up in the past week. They have been in contact with our new person. And then I will make sure that I give Mr. Donatelli our new person's contact information at Arrow.
Well, they indicated they were gonna start
Oh, they've started.
Rolling on all that.
And just to let the board know, kind of with this, that it kind of isn't. But, Arrow and LTL have had a transition meeting. It seems like it went successful. I would anticipate one or two more. LTL is in the midst of sending information to Arrow. And, one also took place with Panoni as well. So we seem to be marching onward.
Right. That's good.
All right, the next assignment I'd like to discuss is the Act 167 ordinance, and I'd like to take us back to our November 16th, 2022 meeting. Jessica Adams was on that call. I was on that call. And I thought we had, at least my notes reflect and my emails reflect, that we had sort of solved all the problems that we had.
I think so.
In subsequent communication with Ms. Adams, who I hold in the highest regard, I have to say that. There were four things really that I wanted to get done before we advertised it, before I advertised the ordinance. One was the table of contents. I haven't completed those yet. The other is what date do we use as the draft date? And my thought would be just to use the November 16th meeting draft date, because that's the last time we discussed it substantively with all the stakeholders in the room or on the screen. And the last real issue was whether the first two pages referencing the countywide ordinance should be there or not. I'm agnostic as it comes to that. In my view, you might as well put them in. And so I know that townships that we represent have started to advertise their ordinance. There's been a little bit of a discussion as to how it's done. Do you do it as a brand new ordinance, or do you simply issue your advertisement by highlighting the changes in the ordinance? I'm inclined to do the latter. And if I have the board's consent, I'll do that. I'll submit this for advertisement and queue it up at the next meeting that Jeff thinks is appropriate.
And I think it makes sense. Not that there's anybody in the public who's actually watching this, but they should see what the changes are, because to deal with the ordinance as a whole, that's a bear.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's almost undoable and retain it.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Olivet Road update. I have the acceptable contract to the county. I have the resolutions and ordinances if necessary to submit. I can sit down with the new solicitor, the county of Chester, and knock this out in 15 minutes. I'd like to do that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Congratulations.
There's a couple of items that are not on my list, but I feel sort of compelled to go through. Your operations manager has been very good at urging me to move these things across. One of them is general code. I thought I had completed general code. I thought I had resolved the issues that lingered between my colleagues' tenure and mine. And I believe that's the case. I believe the general code revisions are done. So there's nothing I need to do left on general code. So I'm going to reach out for a fellow named Evan, who has been impressed with his ability to try to get my attention in December. December was a bad month, and get that all taken care of.
Okay.
I think I had an assignment from the road bid package. Ron Reagan had submitted one on a form. I've looked at it a bit. I looked at it again tonight in real time as you were discussing it, and I had leaned over to Jeff and said, this is fine. There needs to be some dates changed, I think, because of the lapse of time. I emailed that to Mr. Reagan tonight, and I told him I would give him a call tomorrow morning. So those are the high priority items that I'm prepared to discuss, but I'm happy to take any questions that the board or the public might have on anything that interests them.
Any questions for Guy? All right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Guy. Okay, Dawn.
Okay, now, in the absence of the Harb, we have some business to take care of. And I very happily would like to make a motion to appoint Kathy Goen to the Franklin Township Harb with the term expiring on 12/31/2027.
I will second that.
Was that Stefan?
No, that's me. Dave.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kathy.
Yeah, congratulations.
All right, so that brings us to public comment. Public comment can include comments on anything attendees may want to share. Commenters must state their name, whether they are a township resident or a taxpayer of the township.
Yeah, comment.
Oh, boy.
My name's Sean Arbach. I'm a taxpayer and landowner.
Green button, okay. So I've been a taxpayer and landowner for 44 years here and a supervisor in the past. The one thing I would just say about the budget is a spending plan that the board does the best possible job in the prior year to project how you're going to spend money in the following year. But things do change. So, but the plan's laid out so that if you have to overspend something, you have to compensate somewhere else. So there's no harm in changing the budget as long as you make adjustments to stay under the total. So the other item is related to the meadow. And I heard some discussion tonight about another township doing some planted meadows. Is that what they're going to do? Versus just letting the grass grow?
Correct, sir.
That's problematic. I've managed land in township for a long time, and trying to plant a meadow with some special meadow grass seeds in an existing area is a very difficult thing to do because the native species that have been growing there for years and years are entrenched. The seeds are in the ground, the rhizomes are there, so no matter what you plant in there, that stuff is coming back. So you could spend a lot of money trying to plant something that's different than what's growing there. And we've had experience with that on our farm where we actually changed the meadow into a cash crop. So we spread some herbicide out, killed everything that was on there, and planted orchard grass, which is a horse feed. And that only lasts for a couple of years. But the original stuff comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you do. So it's just a precaution to don't get involved in
So I guess
a planted meadow.
yeah, I guess we didn't talk about it when we were having the conversation, but I'm a little confused as to what the difference between a planted meadow and a garden is, right? Or is it just a garden? Is it just a garden with wildflowers?
Well, we went to the meadow workshop. That's a year. Mary and I went to the one where Shane Morgan was. And that's what they basically do. They kill off all the grass first, but then they plant wildflowers. And you have a point. It does grow back, and you have to maintain it. And you have to mow it. And they say about the thrashing of the mowing instead of the other kind of mowing. So, I mean, there is maintenance when they are talking about a wildflower meadow.
Yeah, but
So the goal
is a garden is small and a meadow is big. So
Right.
a garden is manageable, just like this little meadow garden we have out here that Donna manages. So it's manageable. But a meadow, you can't hand pick a meadow.
So I guess the
So
goal.
there's a difference in scale. That's all. So I would just
But
caution
this
you
is
about-
for Nickel Park. This is Nickel Park.
This is for Nickel Park, and I'm just saying this is a concept for us.
Well,
I
See
can't,
how it works for them, and then
Yeah.
we can decide for us, right?
Our meadow this year is gonna be grass.
It's grass, grows higher.
Yeah, we're gonna,
And we'll watch what Nickel Park does and see if it works.
which one we like better.
absolutely.
And the place where we went to see it, I mean, it was, I was duly impressed by the fact that they did so much work and it cost them so much money. And it takes a lot to maintain.
A meadow.
So I agree that with John as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Now, to not say that you might want one, that's a whole other thing. So we can wait and see.
Let's wait and
the park does, and we might want one.
Or we could do a small area that you can maintain, volunteers or whatever, but not a bigger,
Yeah,
not something.
we're excited to take care of our garden.
Yeah, the heels. A lot of effort.
So do we have any other?
Oh, just one, the last comment was related to something the township's been doing for quite a few years, and that's the roadside cleanup in April.
Oh,
The
okay.
folks are planning to do that again, but that was something that was managed by the township over the years I was on the board, and we always did that.
Thank you for the
sometime in
reminder.
April. That-
That's aligned with the Great American Cleanup? Is that-
Yeah. PennDOT provides some sponsorship material, bags, gloves, vests, other things. And it has always worked out really well. Usually you have 15, 20 people that'll come in here and they'll pick a road and clean it up.
The lady's name that presented a couple times in the past, that she was kind of the spirit.
Yeah, I haven't seen them for years and I'm trying to think of, I can't remember her name. She lives over in Quail Hill there. But I haven't seen them for years. But there is a dedicated group of people who do come out and do this. So it's something to consider. And the township already has signs that can be put up in the neighborhood. They're set up so you can change the date and time from year to year. So
Sure.
just something you may want to consider.
Well, and I have to agree with John that it was wonderful when we did the cleanup at the park.
That was great.
And when they brought the kids.
Mm.
And the families brought their kids, and the last cleanup, the road cleanup we did, a lot of people brought their teenage kids and their.
Yeah, one thing, you don't want to put little kids out on the road.
At the park. At the park, yeah.
Just a quick story. I had done a presentation one time up in London Grove Township to a bunch of brownies about local government. So, and they all wanted to participate in the road cleanup. So here we come in, I came in that morning and there's about 25 brownies here. And they wanted to go pick up on the roads. I just couldn't put them out on the road. So I put them down in the park. I didn't think they would pick anything up, but they came up
They
with
did.
bags and bags of stuff in the park. So,
All right.
yeah, if the little kids you can't put little kids on the
No,
road.
we're definitely not. So do we have any other public comment?
No.
Before I adjourn the meeting? Okay, will I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at, what time are we at? 8:22 PM.
A second.
All right, thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Yeah.
Oh, Jeff,
Is our solicitor here? Once we get an opportunity and we're adjourned, if I could have 5 minutes of your time in executive session.
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right, not hearing any further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.